Okay, this is the Kitchener stitch. I have 20 stitches on each of these needles, and we're gonna Kitchener them together. This is also called a graft. So if you ever see a pattern that says you graft stitches together, that's the same thing. I think I might have done more stitches on that one. This might be more than 20 on one of them. Sorry. Okay. So this should be your right sides up. So you want the right side of your work and the right side of your work, because we are going to work another row, but we're going to do it with a needle. Okay. So you have your right sides so that whatever is going to be on the right side is showing on either way. Now, the way I like to do it is to put them together like this so that you're working through the stitches as you go, because you're going to be dropping the stitches off as you graft them together. Okay. Now, the first step is the setup. You want to make sure that you have a really long, if you're doing 156 stitches according to that pattern, you're going to need a really long one. You want this to be at least, I think the measurement is 3 lengths of your work. So this one is actually really long, and you're going to pull it all the way through. All right, so the very first step, this is the setup. So we're not going to take any stitches off on the first step. We're just going to kind of get them linked together. So we're going to, you put your needle in as if to purl on the front. And then you pull your yarn. Oops, okay, that one's, there we go. And you're going to pull all the way through and leave your tail, because that's going to have to be sewn in. So don't pull that too far, because that has to be sewn in too. Okay, so we have attached our sewing yarn through the first stitch on the front. Now we're going to attach our sewing yarn to the first stitch on the back, and we are not going to pull that stitch off yet. So we're going to put this in as if to knit. And then again, you're going to pull the yarn. I like to drop mine below the needle. You're going to pull the yarn all the way through. Okay, that is your setup. Now, as we go along on this row, you're going to work into 2 stitches on every single time. So I'm going to work 2 stitches on the front and 2 stitches then on the back. So, and every single time when you're working those 2 stitches, you'll drop the first one off, but you'll leave the second one on. So this is a 2-step process. So you're going to, as if to knit, and drop that guy off. And then as if to purl, and leave that second stitch on. So then you're going to pull all the way through. And I did these in different colors, so you'll really be able to see how it looks. Okay, so that is the first step. Step 2, we're going to work through 2 stitches on the back needle. So in the back, we're as if to purl and off, and then as if to knit and leave it on. And then we're just going to purl, or we're going to pull, sorry. And you just slowly, this is not a race. Take as much time as you need. So see how this one is kind of pulling out. So we're going to drop that over. And I just like to baby it all the way through. You don't want to pull too tight, because that is actually a stitch on the other end. Once we get a little bit farther in, I'll show you what these look like. Right now, they're going to look like crap, so don't look at it yet, because it's not going to look right. Okay, now that is one repeat of what we're going to do. So now we're going to work through again these 2 stitches on the front needle. So you knit off on the front and purl, leave it on, and pull all the way Just keep on pulling. And then it's going to try and tangle up with other stuff. Again, you're not in a rush. And then you want to pull it through. And you kind of want it to be about the same tension as the stitches. Because when we drop this off, it's going to look like it was all just knitted together. You're not going to be able to tell. So I worked through the first 2 stitches on the front. Now on the back, it's purl off, knit, and then you put your needle in as if to knit, but leave on. And that's kind of the little song I sing to myself as I go. I'll do it on the next one. I'll go faster. So we're gonna, and again, you're gonna have a lot of tails. There's a lot of yarn. Just go slowly. You know how to embroider, so you know when you're pulling your, threads through, you just have to slowly and carefully. Okay, so that is a second repeat. All right, I'm going to do this one just straight through, no commentary. Well, I will tell you what I'm doing, but I won't add. So knit on, purl, leave, or sorry, that was knit off, purl, leave on. And then you just keep pulling, pulling through. Not too tight, but not too loose. But again, we can fix that when we come to it. So now we worked the 2 stitches on front. Now we go to the back. We're going to purl, needle as if to purl, lift off, knit, leave that one on. And there we go. Now we're going to go to the next one. So that was another repeat. So to the front, we're going to, as if to knit, take the stitch off, as if to purl, leave the stitch on. And then slowly pull through. Get all my other tails out of the way. Then we're going to work the back, purl the stitch off, as if to knit, leave the stitch on. So you're basically doing the opposite on each repeat. And when you finish a repeat, you should still be able to see the yarn going through the front stitch and the yarn going through the back stitch. So you should never have a naked stitch as your front stitch. It should always have the yarn worked through it. If not, you're going to have what looks like a yarn over when you're done, if you're not remembering that you take this one off, but you have to work the yarn through the second stitch. So every step you work through 2 stitches. All right, I'm going to lay this out flat so you can kind of see. And that's what it looks like. Now mine is a little loose, but that's okay. You know how to tighten up stitches by just, you do the right leg, left leg, and kind of pull them tighter. And then you can work that all the way across. So I'm just going to tighten those up a little bit. And I would do this like every 5 or 6 stitches because it's going to be a little trickier to do once you have all 156 stitches. And actually, once you're about halfway through, you're going to have a really good feel for how tightly you need to be pulling. Yeah, that you can, like, again, like 2 loose stitches can be fixed. And also the other thing to remember is that with knitting, they will settle and even themselves out. So then I hope you can see that really well. Because I just realized I wasn't actually looking at the camera. I was looking at the work. So that's what it's going to look like as you go. So you're just going to have what looks like knit stitches. All right, I'm going to do a few more. Now see, I messed up because I have a naked stitch on front. I must have pulled it off. I think I need to, well, I don't know what I did. Oh, no, that stitch got pulled off and it wasn't supposed to. There we go. That's what I did. That one wasn't ready to be pulled off. All right, I'm going to do a few more with my little, what I talked to myself through the whole thing, and I'll do it for you. So we're going to, on the front, we're going to knit off, as if to purl, leave it on. And then pull the yarn all the way through. Get that other yarn out of the way. Okay, now I've worked the front. I'm going to purl, take it off, as if to knit, leave it on. Again, not a race. You can go slowly. I think I gotta pull my extra. There we go. I gotta adjust my needle here. Okay, so I've got going through. Now I'm back to the front. Going to knit, pull it off, as if to purl, leave it on. And it's gonna stick to other things, and you're gonna have to constantly move it. And that's just part of it. That's why you just don't go fast. So this one we're gonna purl off, knit, leave on. Then we're gonna knit off, purl, leave on. Purl off, knit, leave on. Now, I have seen a lot of tutorials where, and so if you look at somebody else's video, you might see them do it. See now, there we go. And that's grafted. Oh, you can see, so you can see right there where I kind of dropped that stitch off. I must have, when I put it back on, I didn't orient it correctly. So occasionally you will see a mistake like that, but I don't think that's going to make a difference in yours. I would just leave that because literally no one's going to ever notice. Some people will knit it off and then pull the yarn all the way through and then go purl and leave on and pull the yarn all the way through. In fact, I've never seen somebody else do it the way I do it, but I like my step because I feel like when I purl this off, knit this on, I only have to pull once, and it just makes it easier for me to maintain my tension. So that is how you do the Kitchener stitch to graft. I hope that helps.